Hi, I am Lucy. I'm one of the cover designers of Resurgence novels, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make stock covers for our website. So I'm not going to take a huge amount of time on this one, but I thought some of you might find it interesting to see the process. I have quite severe ADHD and also autism, so when I'm coming up with designs that are kind of more freeform, it kind of is hit and miss. So it's sort of exciting in a way because I might make utter garbage, and in which case feel free to point and laugh, but it might end up being a good one. So the first thing I do is I look for stock images that I find inspiring or that I think would be good for books that we kind of like to sign. Our best-selling genre is paranormal romance, so lots of witches and wolves and vampires, etc. And using this stock image here, similar to one I'd worked with recently, it's the same series because I thought the end result was quite nice and that it should end up with a decent image for the cover. I've set my page up here to be the size of our cover. I have also put it to 300 dpi, and I've got some other things, so I'm not just going to be putting this here. There's various other images here that I'm going to play around with and see what works and what I want to do for this. So first thing I do is make a copy of the image usually, and then convert that, rasterize the layer, and remove the background. I'm not going to be using my tablet for this because it messes around with the screen recording, so normally I would be more precise than this, but for this example I apologize. So by doing that I've just removed the background and already I can put her on something else. You can see like these kind of things would probably do quite well, but that maybe something like this, you can see like the color and the toning is wrong and that the edge looks like really harsh. Obviously I've not neatened that up or feathered it or anything, but that's something that makes covers look instantly amateurish. So if you're watching this, for any tips I would say like make sure that the edges are not looking like it's a collage, like cut and paste, and the colors and stuff. So in terms of this, like the blue is very cold and it's like it's at night and it's like very, yeah, just cold, cool tones. Whereas with this sort of monastery, the Gothic architecture thing, that's like gold and orange and yellow. You can see here the sun coming through, so this instantly looks wrong for this image. But if I did want to go with the Gothic thing, I could either find another image. I have quite a few that I took myself, or I can go with looking at the saturation and the hue of this. So bringing that down, making it sort of more of a blue to it. Instantly there, that's you know, a bit more appropriate if I was going to go in that direction. Obviously I've not done a stellar job, but whatever. I quite like this sort of foresty background, but for now I'm still thinking of what I'm going to do. So when I've cut this out, basically it means that I can do things like put her in a different background, but it also means that some of the techniques and stuff that you see on popular covers can be done to the image a lot more easily. So if you see here, I've added an outer glow, and I can kind of put that on here and make her look a bit more mystical. Obviously not doing the best job ever at this right now, but that's sort of a very quick, easy effect that you can sort of do when you've cut out the character you're working with. Again, I'm just sticking to one on here. The other one I did with this, I added like a cat and stuff, but I'm just sticking to one person and a kind of paranormal theme for this. So the other one is kind of some cool like magic and stuff on there. I did quite like that, so I think I'm going to take this away. And also that glow is just on there, but I can turn it on and off. It works quite nicely for the magic stuff. This one here I like. So this is kind of like a kind of smoke ram's skull type deal. And I kind of like the idea of using that as either an overlay or in the background behind her. Maybe if she moves down slightly, I can make her a little smaller. Because it's a little bit, because I kind of like having this central rather than to the side, right? Unless we go with like a way more asymmetrical design, in which case I would put this guy over here. And then I'm gonna, okay, sorry, I'm trying to think about how I would do it, would actually go with this and what I would do and whether or not there are things in this that I would consider rookie mistakes. So if you look here, there's this really blunt line where the overlay is, so like this. And what I would want to do is use a brush with like a kind of blurred edge and kind of bring that so it's like this, and then I'd maybe turn the opacity down slightly further up so it's a bit more subtle, going up into that kind of dark thing there. I do actually quite like that. This orb that she's holding here, it's quite cool, but on the other image I did some changes, so I have a lot of overlays and stuff. So I've got these sort of like, they're all actually relatively well organized considering I've such bad ADHD, but I've got, so this is like mysticky overlays and they're not, but other than that. It's organized chaos, I guess is the phrase. So I've got here more magic, which I have these sort of like patterns and stuff that look quite good as like magic. If I go with something blue so I don't have to mess around with the toning and stuff too much, I can go with like this sort of surrounding the orb. Again, I'm sort of doing a rough job of this, but you can already see that that's sort of made it look a bit more dynamic than just the glowing orb. Again, I will add a masking layer to this and just sort of clean up around the edge. So like up here you see there's this like very straight line. You can get that there. Again here, just the very edges of it, we want them to fade out rather than being like it's been stuck on. And I can then go out and show you the difference that has made. Not exactly huge, but I think it looks better with that around it. It's more like polished, I think the phrase would be. I like these sort of smoke things. This is not the best smoke I've got, I'm just playing with ideas right now. And with this I would probably edit it to be kind of around, going like around her. So maybe I'll just show this as an example. I don't think it's the direction I'm going to go. I accidentally created a group. This is chaos, I apologize. Okay, yeah, so here's the layer. Again, I am not using my tablet, which I normally would, but what I can do is sort of delete this here so that it looks like it's going like around her, rather than it being just something that's been posted on top. So I want that one to end right there. In fact, I need to turn my opacity up again. Right. I've gotten rid of most of that, but yeah, but I don't like it at all. It's not really worth continuing with. This was something I had on the previous cover. I had a similar sort of like web type pattern. So I quite like it when things have like halo deals, and I can potentially put that behind her and see how that looks. But then it's covering the Rams thing. If I turn on that, it might be a bit much. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's a little bit too much. Unless I put it behind that guy, and maybe change the color of it to be red. That might look cool. Oh, okay, I need to clip that. So then I can maybe put in here. It's taking ages when I'm actually recording it. I don't think I like that, but it's like an idea. It's too evil, it's not subtle enough. I want this to have a degree of subtlety. That looks kind of cool, but not for this. Okay. So another thing here is like, in a previous life I was a designer of clothing, and there are certain things that make things look like a costume. Again, like I also do like historical reenactments, so like basically there are certain things within an outfit that like they make it look like a costume rather than it being like a genuine outfit, and that's I guess it's kind of picky of me, but like for instance the fact that this is like a satin type here and the way the lacing down the front is, to me that makes this look like it's a Halloween costume rather than like a looking more like a, you know, immersive kind of dark witch deal. So I would try to cover this up somehow, and the way I would choose to do that, there are a couple of ways. I will start off by putting a gradient over the image. Usually I'll go with like a black and then adapt it from there. So that's gone over this, and I will probably move her slightly. Okay. And then with this gradient, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to, oops, it's 100%, so I might want to bring that down slightly actually. Do this, and then this. Okay. You don't know if you can also see, in fact if I turn this off now, you can see right there's this like straight line here at the bottom of the image, and that meant that I couldn't really position that there without it looking odd, but with the gradient over the top it's covered up the fact that that is the case, especially when I then put the title over it. With this I've just used a random title. The way I do it, so you create the text in here, but I will create the title on a separate document and then save it as a PNG with a transparent background, because I'm then able to use the title on other marketing for the book, for instance. But this looks quite flat. I like the colors, I like the font, I like the composition and all the rest of it, but it's just a name stuck onto a page and it doesn't look dynamic, it doesn't look like professional. So there are a few different very basic things that I do when I'm doing typography. One of them would be adding a drop shadow, which in this case doesn't really make too much of a difference because of it being over the thing. But just if I just play around with that so you can potentially see the difference it makes, it's, you know, just making things look a bit easier to read as well. For readers, especially with kind of flowy characters and stuff. And outer glow, again, that's something that looks quite effective when you're working with stories of this nature. You just have to make sure it's not like poorly done, and that can be a very fine art. With this I would probably go with a much darker blue, bring out some of the tones maybe from up here, or within the dress, so it looks cohesive, and that's the difference that makes. And the other thing is potentially doing a stroke around the outside of it, which you can see here, the difference that makes, which again is just because it just makes it easier to read. It's subtle, but it makes a difference. So this is like I usually spend a lot longer on the titles for these things, but that's just an example. When I'm positioning them, I would not leave it like this, because right here, this is like right at the bottom edge, it just looks kind of crowded, so I would want to move that up, which then means I probably want to reposition her slightly, which then might mean I want to reposition the smoke slightly. So it's all a case of like making sure I'm happy with things incrementally and moving things around. With the pen name, again, this is an example of something that's had, you know, a bit more done to it. I would really not normally use something so different for the pen name and the thing, but I see a lot of authors doing this sort of thing, and you guys need to stop doing that. Resurgence is a serialized platform. I should probably have said that 15 minutes ago, but like, when you're looking at your cover like this is great, right? But when people are on their phone and looking at their cover like this, it's not so great. Which is good because it means certain things are easier to hide, but it also means that people are not going to be able to read the title of your book or your pen name if you do not do them big enough. So general rule is that the cover, the title should take up around a third of the cover minimum, and the pen name I try to make it so that if I download the image in progress and open it on my phone, it is legible at the size it will be when people are reading the book. So that was probably wouldn't finish that as it is. I don't like where that is covering the smoke, because that's kind of a cool feature and it is hiding it. I might want to move this slightly, make it ever so slightly smaller, and then that fits in there, but then it needs moving up again. And then when I'm done with a basic composition of something like this, I will then go and look through, usually I'll put overlays on it, so I have some cool like textures and stuff that make a huge difference. These ones are like fabric book cover ones, but they also change the toning of things, so it depends. And that's a little bit too much, I think, and if I tone it down, it's not enough. So I'll get rid of that one. And then I can also go with something like these basics, which are really amazing, by our other cover artist, Laura, are just a way of making things look like better quality quite quickly and easily, because they are amazing. So I can put something like that over it. And then change that with a bit of a change to the brightness. That just kind of changes the tone and stuff a bit, and I quite like that. And then another thing I tend to add to these things, particularly over gradients, is overlays for like smoke and lights and things like that. So I'll just show you the difference that putting a slight sort of haze over things makes if you are doing a cover like this. And I will put it underneath the names, and I will put it underneath that. I'll put it over that. Okay. So I might actually do this, but then take it down slightly here. Because now I have that issue right where I can see the bottom of the thing and the cover. Sorry, my GPU has decided to mess around right now. It's not rendering properly. This is a delight, huh? Sorry. Yeah, there you go. So that would be more appropriate. That's sort of lifted these bits here and stuff. So yeah, that's a really simple tutorial, I guess. I've taken 0 time to do anything really, but it's showing you generally if I send a mock-up of the cover to the author, this will have been the sort of thing I've done, and then it will take me several hours to actually neaten it up, so I won't just leave it where it's got like a line here, right? I'll also make changes to things, but if I do another thing, because it's just a thing you might find cool, so I've got this cool witch here, right, and I'm just going to change her eye color because I feel like it. So I'm going to create the clipping mask here, colorize, and I'm going to give her some like cool purple eyes, maybe like this. Again, this is not something I would usually do without using my tablet, so it's going to be a little bit janky, but changes like this are kind of fun to do, so I want to show them. Sorry, I'm just changing the size of this. Super professional of me, I know. I'm used to, well, I'm not used to talking when I work. Okay, and I want that to be white over the mask. I would put a hell of a lot more effort into this were it not just a silly thing for a video. But you see the idea, right? And again, it's, sorry, my GPU is not enjoying this. It's basically that would, I would consider that cringy if I was given that. But then when you zoom out and the book is like this, it's kind of not so much of an issue. So you can get away with that for the like serialized covers, right? Even at this size, you can't really tell what color her eyes are when I turn it off and on, right? It makes a slight difference, but nobody's that clued up on it. So, yeah, hopefully some of you found that interesting, and feel free to let me know if you want to see more stuff like this.